welcome back everybody to your favorite competitive Pokemon Unite podcast. My name is Zoinks, joined as always by Bridget, and we're going to be talking about a lot of very, very exciting stuff that is not quite in Pokemon Unite yet, but we have signs of what is to come after yet another update to the public test server. You know what that means? Your favorite El Chicoist of EVs has entered into another leak era. I don't know if we can keep calling it a leak era with this many times. Here we go. It's the Leakisode. It's the Leakapalooza. We're out of definitions. Bridget, what is your favorite definition of the Leakisode, and how are you doing?
I do really like Leakio, not spoilers, Leakitios and Leakitios.
Yes,
I don't think I said those correctly.
If you can solve the riddle for what Pokemon that means, you might have a hint at a future Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a good riddle, but I thought that was a good one.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Okay, good to hear. Alright, well, for those of you hanging out in the pre-show, we were chatting about what kind of Pokemon we've been playing in rank, because both Bridget and I have actually been kind of on our, well, for me, solo queue. Are you duoing these days? Are you soloing? How you embracing ranked these days?
A little bit of both.
Cool.
Mostly solo. I was truing with some friends. I was doing a little on Saturday, so kind of a plethora.
Cool. Well, that's good. You have a balanced Pokemon Unite diet. I think that is what all doctors recommend. That is good. I am a solo-only gamer.
You really lock in.
I need a lesson in excess at teams with that one mode, but I have had requests from a couple of friends to duo with them soon. So maybe that'll start changing. Maybe we'll see some Zoinks duos coming up soon, but we'll see. Other than that, I've been kind of embracing everything Pokemon Unite has to offer. Been playing a lot of auto chess again. I've been back on my Pokemon Unite China mode a little bit. I had a stream of it just yesterday. I think I was playing. It was very, very fun. I actually did the worst I've ever done on that stream, though. So it's so funny in a game mode that is like really. Yeah. Hey, listen. Thank you, Bridget, but I need more gas than that. It's funny for a game mode that actually I do think lends itself very well to streaming. I actually was not doing well paying attention to the chat, trying to communicate, and focusing on what I need to do.
Really?
It's interesting. Like, I think I would be, but I'm just so used to having that 30 seconds to think. But when I realistically only have 10, and then like when I'm like talking to chat and doing it back and forth, I wasn't used to it. I was making a lot of mistakes. So if you needed to know that there is skill expression in Pokemon Auto Chess, there you go. Definition is me getting bodied in Ranked Ladder. I ran into Silent Sheepy in Ranked Ladder, by the way, who is, by the way, in Pokemon Auto Chess, like, I think they were ranked top 50 last season in it. They are grinding. If you want resources, go check out their stream. I think they also have a full-on Google Doc that's like, and explaining every asset, like strategies, tier list, everything. They're like pushing that game mode, so check out their content for sure. Small plug. But anyway, let's get into the meat and the potatoes of this episode, Bridget, because we talked about the crazy leaks that are coming in very soon. One thing that we could start with, though, that we already knew was coming is Alcremie. Alcremie is going to be hitting the game so soon, literally hitting the game NAIC weekend, which is quite funny. Kind of lame. Listen, you just gotta be mobile gamers. Gotta be mobile gamers. Well,
we're having a cake party.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Putting that mental note for broadcast. Just thank you so much.
Just in general. Okay. That's going to be a day of celebration.
That is good.
Focus on cake.
I do like that. We also should get a cake on broadcast. So I'm filing that away. That is a great idea. We've done it before. We got Dupes Next a Sableye cake for his birthday.
Oh, that was so cute.
It was. That was like one of my favorite moments, I think, from that year of broadcast. It was really fun because he had zero idea. So it was a cool surprise. But anyway, Alcremie is coming to the game, and now it finally hit the public test server, which means we know everything that there is to know about this Pokemon. We know its moveset, its passive, its abilities, and even its stats. So we got a whole bunch. I'm just going to bring up the web browser here on the screen, but we'll read everything out for our audio listeners, so don't worry too much. Also, I guess we should say we probably should have said it earlier in this episode, if you do want to avoid spoilers for Pokemon Unite, I guess unfollow both Bridget and I on Twitter, but also this episode is probably one you might want to skip to the end at. But anyway.
We called it the Leakisode,
yeah,
so
Leakapalooza.
I think that was the warning, yeah.
It's a library of warnings, that is very true. Okay, let's get into Alcremie. So, first and foremost, obviously it's a support Pokemon. It's Milcray, evolves at level 4, and gets its Unite move at level 8. So very cool. Not every LD still doesn't have that treatment, I think. Still a level 9 support Pokemon, so a little bit of bonus there. The first part about Alcremie we can talk about is Aroma Veil. So this is passive. When the Pokemon buffs an ally Pokemon or grants an ally Pokemon a shield, any hindrances applied to that ally Pokemon are removed. This ability goes on cooldown after it's triggered. So, Aroma Veil, like a lot of the cooldown base passives in the game, has a small icon on the bottom of your screen. As soon as you use any of your moves that buff or shield, which is basically the one move slot, both of those moves will do so. You do cleanse a Pokemon. It doesn't grant them unstoppable, but if they are being applied by any hindrance at that moment, you will cleanse it, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, it's just a free full heal, safeguard.
Yep.
Type B. It's like similar to Blissey's passive, but Blissey's is just on herself.
Yeah.
So it's cool that this is even more like supporty.
And Blissey's is like every 6 seconds or something too, right? So
I trust you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just happens every 6 seconds. It's not like you can't time it. I guess
true.
That's not true. You could time it every 6 seconds, I suppose. But you, it's triggered with this Pokemon user move. So, opening moves, we do have Helping Hand, which grants a user a shield. Sound familiar? And increases that Pokemon's attack and special attack for a short time. So obviously it'll cleanse. The secondary move, which is Charm. This does do damage, by the way. I was watching some videos of people playing it in the public test server. It does very little damage, but it does do damage technically. So if you're looking for your secure move as Milcery, you're not going to have one, but this maybe is the better option to choose first. But anyway, as the user, send its cute voice, thank you very much, in the designated direction, applying a slowing effect, and the opposing Pokemon decreases their attack and special attack and increases the user's sweet gauge. More on that later.
What if you just think they're talking about your voice and not Milcery's voice?
I like to think we're one and the same. Okay.
Okay, first of all, I'm playing the Alcremie.
Very true, very true. Okay, any thoughts on the 2 starting moves? I feel like they're pretty straightforward.
Definitely, like, as a new member of the Pink Blob committee that Alcremie will be joining,
God,
is not as, I guess she's a little Pink Blob, but she's welcome into the community. So it's very, like, I'm trying to think of any other, like, support that has as bad of a secure as this.
Yeah.
It might be the worst. Like, Comfey has better. Like, from what I'm hearing, this is not going to be a fun secure type mon. Like, you really have to have a laner that's going to be doing that for the squad.
I completely agree. That's a great point.
Which is kind of interesting. Usually supports have, like, their damage move is actually a pretty good secure.
Right. Especially because a lot of them get that % damage increase to one of those moves against wild Pokemon. So maybe that'll happen on some of the later moves. We don't know, but that, at least at this point. Okay, let's get into the Alcremie move. So the first one is Recover. This was the move that was leaked a little bit earlier. At least we got to see images of it. So where Alcremie throws out a little dollop, a little sweet dollop. I believe Indra is calling these the onions.
Oh, they do look like onions.
Okay, well.
They look like...
was really hoping you wouldn't agree with them, but it's fine.
They look like dumplings.
I thought macaroons or Hershey's Kisses was what I was really thinking. But...
I like them.
Yeah, they're really cute. Basically, you throw up a dollop of whipped cream at the designated location. This dollop stays at the location for a short time. I don't know how long that time is, but from what I was seeing, it seems not that short. Like, it seems like it stays out there for a while. But anyway, basically you throw down little health potions all over the place. When a Pokemon picks them up, they increase their HP, but they also increase their movement speed, which is kind of, I think, an interesting mechanic of this. We don't have too many Pokemon in the game that increase movement speed, so Alcremie kind of doing Pollen Puff and Leaf Tornado in a tiny little fashion, which is kind of fun. And then, when this user's sweet gauge is full, by the way, the only way you charge your sweet gauge is by using your moves that literally say charge your sweet gauge, by the way. And that is when people pick up your dollops or you land a couple of your other moves. But when your user sweet gauge is full, the next dollop becomes sweeter. By that, they mean they put a strawberry on top of it, and it just has more healing. So it's got more HP, and the movement speed increases even more. When you upgrade this one, you can stack them up to 3. I believe before that, you can only have 2 in the tank. This is like the healing moveset. This button right here. How you feeling about Recover so far?
It is such, like, when I envision Recover, this is not like the extravagant, like, I did not imagine something this extravagant, but I do really like it. Like you said, it's very like storing them up and like placing them is very like blissy, soft boil, but yeah, you said it was kind of like Eldegos's movement speed move, Leaf Tornado, but it also reminds me of like Blissey Helping Hand. So it's kind of cool that it's like kind of finally being comboed with healing. Like it was already comboed with damage, I guess, with Leaf Tornado. But yeah, I like this. It's like just different enough. And yeah, D saying in the chat, it can like really reward like good placement, like with it being so ranged, which is really fun.
That's true. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I also, Smim saying it's a skill shot too. That is true. You do lob it stays there for a time. I was actually watching Spraggle's like playtest server video of Alcremie, and one thing he tested was the aim, the auto aim, and apparently the auto aim sets like just to basically right on top of your nearest ally. Like that's where it's
actually auto aims your ally. Well, I guess it doesn't do damage, so that makes sense.
I'm thinking enemies can't pick it up. Oh yeah, Paul Wolf. Yeah, Paul and Puff. That's we gotta talk about Paul and Puff auto aim.
It's illegal. So I'm always surprised, but I shouldn't be. It doesn't do damage. Alcremie says it. So
the thing about Recover is I do think the heals are pretty solid. I think the like enhanced heal, like the sweet gauge is full, is the very impactful one. So I do think that you are going to want to play this move with the build up your sweet gauge style move. Now, reminder, Recover also charges your sweet gauge by just people picking up your small dollops. So I do think there is after a fight, you're roaming as Alcremie. I think you're healing yourself while moving somewhere else, like throwing dollops in front of you to charge your sweet gauge, so that you can have like a fully prepped one for your next fight. I think it's
and you're getting movement speed out of it too, right? Well, your buddy is.
Yeah, you're just whipping around. I think you would get it yourself as well. I think if you eat it, like if you eat the dollop yourself.
Oh, you just eat the dollop, of course.
And then I think you zoom.
And then you zoom. Okay, I understand. I'm with it.
So with it. Okay, this is the other move in that slot, I believe. So the other move is going to be Decorate.
Yeah.
So Decorate, this is the one that people were talking about as, I mean, it's the iconic move from this Pokemon. So
yeah, it's its signature.
So has the user grant a designated ally Pokemon a shield. Each time the shielded ally Pokemon attacks with a basic attack, it deals additional damage. When the user's sweet gauge becomes full, the additional damage this move grants the shielded ally Pokemon is even greater. Now, we were watching this one a little bit. I was watching El Chico Eevee's video. I was watching Indra kind of break it down. It looks like the auto attacks themselves from the opposing Pokemon are not exactly doing more damage. It's just that the shield is shooting out little pieces of itself to do extra damage alongside the auto attacks. This is
interesting.
Very similar to Trick Hoopa, I think. Right here. It's like it's almost like Trick Shadow Ball together in one, but just lighter damage, but more frequent damage than Shadow Ball.
And I did watch gameplay, but it's nice getting to like talk it through with you. So does Alcremie have to be like auto aiming too for Luca to get the?
No.
Okay, just kind of does it automatically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, it procs off of like in this case on the image in front of us for audio listeners, it's a Lucario that is a pig shield. It's like strawberries and dollops hovering around them. When Lucario auto attacks, little attacks will come from the shield, not from Alcremie.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they come from like the little ring on Hoopa's trick. Is where they'll be sent out from. Now the question Indra had, and I don't know if it was answered in the stream. I bounced it out. Who knows? Maybe. The big question is muscle band for me with this
My
move.
God.
Will those extra hits from the decorate additional bonus attacks proc muscle band at all? Would they proc Lucario's muscle band in this case? Would they proc Alcremie's muscle band? It's really interesting because if either of the two latter, I mean, if it procs your like damage dealer's muscle band, that seems insane. But if it procs Alcremie's muscle band, I could legitimately see Alcremie wanting to equip that item. Not to mention, like, Alcremie's auto attacks are kind of a major part of its moveset with this decorate build. So, who knows? Because you can decorate yourself, by the way. I should say that.
Okay. That
Like
makes
you can
sense.
Trikoopa, you can also decorate Alcremie, and then Alcremie will get the little bonus attacks off of its decorate shield.
Cool.
So,
okay, cool.
I legitimately think Muscle Band is going to be a item you want to put on this Pokemon, which is kind of cool.
Really, I was gonna ask what you thought, or what do you have your money on it affecting?
That's what I would have it on affecting. I think Muscle Band. My idea would be like Muscle Band, Spoon, EXP share is kind of like my idea of a moveset on this. But Spoon just gives extra HP. It feels so nice. Okay, let's move on from Decorate. Unless you had anything else you would want to say on Decorate.
I don't think so. It seems interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I do kind of like that they give. This is like pretty common. I feel like with supports is like almost like a damage boost move or like a healing move.
Yeah.
So I like that we're kind of seeing this with Alcremie, but it's done like differently enough that I don't know. Yeah. I'm excited for it.
And this does feel like the more damage-oriented side of the comp. Like, in my mind, there are two builds. You could mix and match them, surely, but this feels like it's going to be Decorate, Dazzling Gleam, and Recover, and Aroma, Sweet Aroma, or you could honestly just do Dazzling Gleam seems really good. We'll get more on that later. But it is cool that even the damage-oriented build does have a bit of healing. I mean, you do grant that shield still. On the Pokemon. And then remember, the Aurora Veil passive, not Aurora, Aroma Veil, you will cleanse whoever you decorate as well, which is kind of important. At least on the cooldown. I don't actually know how long that passive cooldown is, but something to think about.
For sure.
Okay, let's move to the next one. But you're right, this is way more damage focused than it is healing focused.
Yeah. It's very like, helping hand versus eggs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next move. So we have is this our first sweet scent, or does... Yeah, because Comfey has Sweet Kiss, right?
Yeah, I'd have to...
I'm pretty
check. So... I know, but I don't know if it's Baby Move is Sweet Scent, but I don't think any of the big mons get Sweet Scent.
That's true.
Anyway.
No, you're right. I'm just curious. I was just thinking of... Obviously, Decorate's a unique move to this Pokemon, but I guess Recover's in Mewtwo's kit, I think. So,
yeah.
Sweet Scent could be a new one. That'd be kind of fun. But anyway, Sweet Scent has the user launch a Sweet Scent at a designated location, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon. A circle of scent remains for a short time, dealing damage and applying a slowing effect to opposing Pokemon that touch it, and increasing the user's Sweet Gauge. I think in this move, the most important part of its kit is that final sentence. From what I saw of gameplay, this is by far the fastest way to charge your Sweet Gauge. Sweet Scent builds it fast. Even if you're just hitting one target, it feels like it charges it almost halfway up immediately.
What?
Which makes sense to me because it honestly doesn't do much else otherwise.
Yeah, it's a slow.
For people looking at it, the slow, it's not a huge circle. It's probably about the size of a path. Like you can see here in this image, it's around the size of the pathway headed into like Zap Pit. Like headed into Remote, which is not massive. It's like smaller than a goal zone for sure. The slowing effect is fine. It's a slow. It's not a stun. It's just a slow. But the other thing is that I was watching on Spraggle's highlight video. You actually take a little bit of damage while inside it, but the majority of damage that you do with Sweet Scent is actually when they try to get out of it. That outer ring damages them again when a Pokemon leaves it, which I thought was kind of interesting. So maybe there is a little bit more to the damaging side of this move, but yeah, it does seem like an interesting effect. Honestly, it looks kind of like a Sludge Bomb from Venu, maybe.
It does. Yeah, I feel like I'm glad. I was trying to like watch some of the PTS videos and stuff on it, but I feel like it was a lot of like first impressions. So people didn't really know what was happening. So that's interesting that the description doesn't really talk about the damage dealt, but
it doesn't talk about where the damage is dealt. That is the interesting part, eh? But yeah, let's do the damage on the outside ring, which is kind of cool. But again, like from what I've seen, the biggest effect of this move is that it charges the sweet gauge so much. So this is kind of the first build of this, and yeah, I see Smim talking about Cursed Incense could work really well with this. That's true. That makes a lot of sense to me. But anyway, this is used with Recover. So you throw down a sweet scent, like charge up your sweet gauge, and then toss out the sweet treats and get another sweet scent down. Just keep charging it. It feels like the best way to do that, in my opinion. But okay, this next move. This move, I think, is the coolest part of Alcremie's kit in general. This is Dazzling Gleam. Another burst of light move. We've seen it at a few Pokemon, A9, Wigglytuff, but now we got an Alcremie. Dazzling Gleam has the user release a ray of light in designated direction. You can see here on this image, for those of you listening, it is a very tight cone shooting out in front of you, but it is quite long. It is also a longer attack, maybe like 15, 30 feet.
Wow, Sylveon Hyper Voice is so back.
It is. It might actually be the exact same proportions as old.
It looks pretty similar.
It's longer, though. I'm pretty confident it is way longer than old Sylveon.
Yeah, I do remember seeing it on remote. I think it is probably a little longer, but it's pretty thin. So.
Yes, but the width, correct. I would say exactly the same as Sylveon. So the normal thing with this, obviously, you do a little bit of damage. It's like a lot of the Dazzling Gleams, where there's kind of a a second or so of charging animation, and then it fires with an extra bit of damage near at the end point of it. Now, where this move gets crazy is that if you have decorated an ally, so you've given them that little decorate shield, and you use Dazzling Gleam, a Dazzling Gleam fires from the player you decorated as well. So then there's like 2 Dazzling Gleams firing, which is insane and so fun to look at. Like, I was watching some people play it. Now, what baffles me is I don't know how it aims off of the ally player. Like, I get how
you don't control it?
No, you do, but it's weird. So basically, Alcremie aims, and you aim it like you would with a joystick, right, on a wheel, and you just aim it wherever. But it's like that when you, let's say I moved mine down, like to the right and down, in a clockwise fashion, it would also move my ally's Pokemon aim shot that way as well. But the origin of where it's firing off of my ally is not always in a predictable location. So
because it's like, I think it's like Trick Shadow Ball, right? Like if they move.
Okay. Yeah, Slashburn is saying this in our Twitch chat too. Okay.
It's like how they're oriented. Like.
Okay.
You control it, but they can also, like turn in circles, and that would
mess with
it as well.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, then it's identical to that, I think. So that makes sense. Okay. Wow. Weird. But anyway, this sounds like such a fun secure move. It is you get 2 Dazzling Gleams to secure. I mean, that's double the Wiggly Steel potential. And then we get Wigglytuff also using Dazzling. No one's taking an objective from this duo.
Dazzling Gleam calm.
Yeah, Cookies Are Yum in our chat say this is a broken stun depending on the cast time. It is a really good stun as well. I would say it's probably like a 1 second stun. If you hit him in like kind of the end break point of the Dazzling Gleam. So yeah, this move seems outrageously good, and I'm excited. Let's move on to the final move, and then we can talk about Alcremie just kind of overall a little bit. So, Unite move, Fluffy Cream Supreme. This is the giant cake. Alcremie builds a gigantic cake and supports their allies in a big circle around it. Few things about this. You cannot eject button during this Unite move. And this description is a little misleading. So the description says, has the user create a giant cake and stand on it, granting the user a shield. The user then sends whipped cream to nearby ally Pokemon. Ally Pokemon who receive whipped cream have their HP restored and their max HP increased for a short time. This Unite move ends when the user loses its shield. That last sentence is technically true, but it also loses it after 6 seconds of casting it. So, yeah. It makes it sound like it doesn't end until the shield's gone, but that is not the case. However, I do think if you're playing as a team, it would make sense to burst down the cake, take down the cake, stop their healing tower, and move on from there. It is really cool. I'm so excited. This is the first instance in the game where we have a effect that increases your ally's maximum HP. That's so sick.
Oh yeah, I didn't even really realize that was the effect. Like in my head I was just like, oh, it's basically just moonlight, but stationary, bigger, maybe better, I would imagine. But yeah, I didn't even realize the max HP increase for a short time too. That's crazy. So they'll basically just get, I don't even, almost how their HP bar looks like probably when they're getting a shield, but it's just going to be increased HP.
Yeah, so increased HP, and then I guess they get shielding on top of that too. I mean, there's a few Pokemon that interact with maximum HP as their stat, right? That could be a relevant fact. Snorlax, right? Let's go Flaylax. Flaylax with the Alcremie Fluffy Cream Supreme buff. Gonna go insane.
Demon.
So we'll see with that. It seems interesting. I do like the cake. I'm not gonna lie. I wish the cake was more elaborate. Am I insane for saying that? It's cute.
Responded to my tweet when I tweeted the Alcremie cake, and they said, I'm glad the cake is part of the Unite move because now with the purple tier hollowware, they could change the effect of the cake, or they could change the cake. And I'm like, dang,
and I'll pay
would
for
be
it.
Really, and that would be sick.
Yeah, and I'll pay for it. And
because it's the Unite move, and the Unite moves usually get glammed up. So I don't know. I was like, your brain is working.
And everything with this Alcremie has been strawberries, by the way, so far. So I really, a purple tier that's just hey, now it's, I don't know, orange slices, some tangerine. And that would be kind of cute, And
It'd
then
be
we have
so sick if we could have hollowwares that changed it to the different Alcremie color waves.
Pineapple upside down cake. That's
Rainbow swirl.
Okay, so definitely a lot of really cool potential with the aesthetics for sure.
I really love the cake thing.
I like the cake. The Unite move seems really fun. I am curious to see how long that max HP boost lasts. Because is there ever a world where at 205 you guys are guys, get in the bush. We're gonna Fluffy Cream Supreme and then run at them. You know what I mean?
Right? Are you just
There used to be a case like that in Overwatch, actually. The very first iteration of Brigitte, the support armor, she's had a bad history in Overwatch. She ruined the game for sometimes, was great in the game for sometimes, a mix. But the Unite move at one point was you granted a ton of armor, and then the armor would never decay. So it was important to use it before a fight, because it wouldn't channel while the fight was happening. It was interesting. It was very counterintuitive for a support alt. I was wondering if that would be a thing in this game, but from what I saw, it sounds like it decays pretty quick. But maybe over time they'll buff that. Who knows? Well, that'd be pretty fun. But that's Alcremie gonna be coming to the game in literally less than a month. NAIC is in less than a month. Alcremie is coming in less than a month now. Another new support added to the game. It's crazy.
Yay! I'm so happy. I feel that the combo of Psyduck and now into Alcremie is kind of really a best of both worlds. A beyond OP hindrance support in Psyduck, and now we'll obviously see, but other than Rapidash, they usually let them be pretty good for a while.
True.
So we'll see if we get Galarian Rapidash or not with this one.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Two notable things I wanted to talk about with Alcremie before we move on. One, we did get a peek at its stats from Melchigo Eevee, and they look extremely similar to Eldegoss kind of across the board right now, and even a little less tanky. So a little bit less HP, a little bit less defense than Eldegoss, which is kind of remarkable because Eldegoss is actually pretty low on all of those stats. It just gets its tankiness from everywhere else. All of its moves give shields to them and others and all that kind of thing. It builds a lot of shields. So Alcremie doesn't have many. It has shielding options for itself, but it doesn't have that option to shield itself and an ally at the same time, like Eldegoss would. So It is kind of interesting. The other thing I want to talk about that kind of go hand in hand is Alcremie is the tiniest model of any Pokemon we have had by far. It almost looks smaller than Milkray, which is crazy.
I think it is.
Like, is it actually a smaller hitbox? It's so funny.
I've heard people saying that, but I just saw Alcremie running next to like a Garchomp, and I was like, "This is comedy."
Yeah.
Like whoever designed the model is I don't know. I think it's really interesting how little tiny baby she is, and how that's gonna like matter for the HP defense stats specifically. I think it'll be interesting. Yeah. But it might be kind of a skill check. Don't get hit.
Don't get stepped on.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, I think the only Pokemon that's squishier in the support category is Comfey, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it feels like a design choice to make it small, literally to avoid damage. This feels like a backline Pokemon. You never want to be in the mix as this supporter. You're staying in the back, you're trying to angle Dazzling Gleams or throwing Decorate Shields, getting some extra auto attacks in there maybe. That's fine, but all at range. And other than that, you are bobbing and weaving. You are a little pastry. You want to make sure that snipe shots are going to the left and right and never dead center. You're going to be watching out for big courses of damage. So I think that is going to be what Alcremie is up to, which is kind of a fun concept for a Pokemon. Like, it's cool they're messing around with like hitbox size. Who knows? Maybe we'll go the opposite sometime soon. Maybe we'll get like a gigantic, like bigger than Snorlax hitbox at some point. Or Mammoth.
I feel like he's probably I guess Mammo might be the biggest.
They're both pretty big. They might be the same. I don't know. They're both pretty huge.
Yeah.
Get like a Whale Lord. Yeah, Smim saying thinking the same thing. It's just so tanky. Does nothing, but
but he's really big.
Exactly.
And takes up like the whole lane.
Love it. I'm down. Let me play as Coyote.
That would be really funny.
That would be really funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, hey, we gave you more supports. Now it's time for more fish.
It's our time.
Whale Lord.
Okay. Season of fish.
Let's get to the next big leak. This one, kind of crazy. Let's talk about the big one. We'll save volleyball for after, but that's coming too. The next one, we learned the anniversary Pokemon Latios and Latias are going to be coming to Pokemon Unite, and they look so cool just from this move description. It's actually insane. So, Latias are coming in as the anniversary Pokemon. Bridget, first impressions, reactions to this dynamic duo from Gen 3.
I feel like I saw this leak and I was like, OMG, it's happening. But then I kind of didn't really like process the information, and I kind of saw everyone else like freaking out and being like very hype. Like, I don't even think I fully read what it said they did, at least in like what little bit we do know about them. Obviously not too much yet, but it was really cool seeing all of the hype. And honestly, I love Gen 3, and then I started like imagining them, like they're like Unite models, and like imagining them like flying down the lanes and stuff, and I was like, wait, this is gonna be so sick. Like, yeah, I don't know, I think you had said earlier, like, there's really not a better like legendary like Mon or duo they could have like added at this point.
I genuinely don't know if I could think of any. I mean, you could do the other legendary beasts, right? Like Raikou and Entei would both be really cool to kind of go along with side Suicune. But as something kind of brand new, I don't know if there's many things that are beating out this duo. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would go flipping nuts for any 4 of the Tapus. But I'm not like sitting here telling you that they're more popular than Latios and Latias. It's just simply not true. Not to mention, from what we know, this is the E-Dater Pokemon duo. So let's talk a little bit about what they do. When this Pokemon uses this move, its movement speed increases for a short time. So that's both Latios and Latias. Similarly, when Latios is nearby, or when Latias is nearby, depending on which Pokemon you're playing, this Pokemon's movement speed increases. So 2 effects that increase your movement speed. Could be an attacker, could be speedster. Like, a lot of attackers have movement speed increase options, blah, blah, blah. But anyway,
I was going to ask you what you thought if they're going to be the same.
I think speedster support is, in my opinion, what the duo would be.
Please, another support. I'm praying.
That would be so crazy. Speedster support would be insane. However, it could be all-rounder attacker also.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely.
Very easy, yeah.
You know what? They could do no wrong. You know, they could be 4 all-rounders together somehow, and it wouldn't be upset.
And then honestly, halfway doesn't even matter what they classify them as. Like,
Yeah, true. People are gonna
I
people
play
are gonna click
Suicune
that
and
button.
support, so.
Well, yeah, the Pentaflex Pokemon for sure.
Anyway,
The final one is where we get into the E-Dater stuff for sure. When Latios is on the same team as this Pokemon, or of course the opposite on the other case, this Pokemon can fly to the other. This ability goes on cooldown after it's triggered. You literally have a button you can click to just fly across the map to the other Pokemon. That is so sick. We have our first, like, in mechanic duo synergy Pokemon, which I think is so fun. There is a character, 2 characters, I guess, in League. We have Rakan, and I was struggling with the words before. I think it's Zaya. Before, but we have Zaya and Rakan in League of Legends who have similar mechanics. They are canonically like a couple, but basically they can recall together is like the major interaction they have. There was a question I was seeing from some people that like, what is this? Maybe the license is both of them. Like you log in, like you play the game as Latios and Latios, like the duo. But
that would be Ice Climbers mode. We've definitely talked about that.
I don't, with the way these moves are described, I don't think that's the case. Like, the fact that
how would you send them out to be like separate?
Right, and then similarly,
like
when Latios is
person.
nearby, your movement speeds increase. Like, I don't exactly know what that means, unless you're like one's hovering up out of the fight, and the other one's like in the battlefield. And so like when you're close to that one, then you move quick, and then you click a button, they kind of like tag team out. But I don't think that's the case. That doesn't.
Yeah, that was not what I assumed. That is like an interesting thought though. But it also seems like these are 2 separate descriptions. Totally. So
yeah, and Smim's saying the real truth in our chat. It is likely going to be a chance for them to purchase 2 licenses. So I think what will be happening now. One thing to note, all of our anniversary Pokemon in the past, up until this point, have been free releases. You just got to put the time in, do the little dice maze games or whatever. Of course, you can spend to complete it right away, which they know. But it is technically completable for free, which is cool. I really hope with this release, because this is such a hype release. Like Latios and Latios coming out, it's such a hype release. I hope they release them at the exact same time. Like an unprecedented way, they give us both of them. And I would love, like, potentially with those mazes, like, you choose, like, I'm going on the Latios route, or I'm going on the Latios route. Because then you go in with your duo. You're like, okay, which one are you doing? And I'll go with the other one. It's like buying a copy of Red and Blue. Come on. It
actually translates so well to everything Pokemon stands for.
It is endemic.
2 versions of the game, yeah.
Exactly.
Of, like, the mainline games, yeah. So,
exactly.
I really hope, and it seems like I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of cope, but it seems like whatever that ability is, which probably is just like the extra ability similar to like the EV combo thing. Like, it's probably not their like passive or anything, but
it's probably like Hoopa's magician or whatever, I think.
Oh yeah, that'll be how you like activate it. Yeah, that's true. It's also just crazy that this is like the first teleportation we've gotten since Hoopa.
Whoa. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Do we think it's going to be a teleport? Or do you think you'll be like, like fly over? Like, how? I don't know. Like, is it just like a magnet where you just like,
I'm so sorry for people who didn't see what he just did. That was so funny.
I had to describe it. I could only think of a straight up visual. But yeah, that is what we have. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right, though. It is likely going to be like a teleport. That would make the most sense, or at least how this move is being described. It sounds like that would be a huge favor, but jeez.
We'll find out.
We'll
find out.
I know Sergeant C in our chat saying it says fly. I actually think it might be kind of like a D-Knight ult, where you like whoop, and then you whoop down. Like you go airborne, you come back, or like Talon fly or whatever. I think it could be a similar effect there, just because the in-game text uses the word fly. But we'll see.
That's true.
We'll see. Either way, it sounds so fun. We don't know anything more about their kits, so we don't know their license type, even though people in chat are saying likely all-rounder. We don't know their license type. We don't know their moveset. We don't know what their Unite. If their Unite works, like if you both use your Unites together and it does a unique effect,
surely they really seem synced.
I will geek out so hard. Like they're like the snowbirds or something. Oh my god. I
think of like the Pokemon card that's really popular of like them two together with like their little heads together.
And they make
that's
a heart.
What I want them to do. Yeah, that's what I want them to do in the video game.
That stunting on your opponents and they're like, okay, pose.
Okay, and now work, and now walk.
Exactly. Yeah, that could be. It genuinely could be. Who knows? Anyway, this, in my opinion, is like you said it before. I was saying it is like one of the most hype releases they could possibly do. I think this really, in terms of hype, could only be outclassed by Mewtwo. Like I think we're at that point. Mewtwo is like
next level.
Gosh, I mean, one of the most popular Pokemon ever to be made, ever. These two are so insanely popular, and they're introducing a fun new mechanic to it. Can you imagine, like, I guess Mewtwo brought, like, Mega Evolution was, like, what they were bringing, and so that was kind of cool, but it mostly just felt like a way to introduce two different Pokemon. Was, like, kind of this way. But bringing like a new mechanic that we've not seen in the game yet, like a synergistic Pokemon duo, awesome. Now, do I think in your ranked ladders and master games with draft that you'll ever get two of these on the same team?
No.
Probably not.
No.
It's going to be a rare case that we see these duo dragons together, side by side. I think gonna be... Oh, Dextro's saying maybe they get their Mega forms in their Unite move. Mega Latios and Mega Latias with
this is very wishful thinking.
With A to Z, or with Legends coming out soon with like Megas and everything. Oh,
it's time.
That'd be sick. I would love a mini game mode where like all the Pokemon like they go to level 20 and they could be Mega from level 15 to 20.
Yes.
It'd be sick.
God, they're so
all the Mega available.
So much
Pokemon
opportunity.
And of course. They add Audino as a playable Pokemon.
Obviously. It's her time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is going to be really crazy. I do find it pretty funny that so many people complain about Duo Q. And now Timmy's like, well, we hear that you want to get rid of Duo Q. How about a Duo Q Pokemon? I really found some humor in that.
It's awesome.
I'm like, girl, that's not going anywhere. They made this for them.
I really hope they come out at the same time. I do think it would be I think it would really be a bummer of a release if they come out like even a month apart. I think is the maximum release that you would have to have. But hopefully they come out right next to each other because gosh, that would be so fun. The anniversary would be post Worlds, by the way. So this would be right after the World Championships, I think.
Like end of August.
Yeah, isn't it like September usually is our because it's mobile anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when Ho-Oh was released, right? I think Ho-Oh was our anniversary Pokemon last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, either way, really cool. Who knows? Maybe who knows what will happen at Pokemon Day? The next legendary, mythical, whatever.
Yeah.
The next game-breaking Pokemon release. Who knows?
I can't wait. One at a time. Well, I guess maybe two at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, we've talked a lot about Pokemon releases. We also got a little bit more from El Chico Eevee in this most recent batch. Data mine thing that was going on. We learned about a new game mode coming to the game and a little bit more of a drip feed from the China version. Electrode Volleyball is coming into the game. This is a 3-on-3 mode with a really kind of miniature map with Electrode bouncing back and forth, and if Electrode hits the ground on your side of the map, it explodes and your opponents get a point. GG. It looks really fun. I'll pull it up on screen here. Slopped Up, a really cool creator who's doing a ton of China version content in general, but also just like a lot of auto chess has been playing this game. So we'll put it on here. I can keep the sound on for a little bit, just a little bit lower. But you can see them bouncing the Electrode around, doing a little bit of dueling, all that kind of stuff. Too low. But you see that big circle that appears on the ground. That's where the Electrode's going to land. It looks like as long as one of your Pokemon is in that circle, it'll bounce the Electrode out a different direction. So, seems fun.
Yeah, and obviously you can like run on your enemy's side and make them have a bad time. But I think it's as long as someone on your team is on your side defending the volleyball Electrode, you're good. It actually looks pretty fun. I'm not usually like game mode person in Unite every once in a while, unless it's Pika Party. But
Right.
this, yeah, put some respect on the go to game mode Pika Party. But
Meh.
this does look pretty cute and pretty fun, actually, and like still competitive, but
Yeah.
just like a little silly, something a little fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty ecstatic about it. I do think this map and little just 3-on-3 like deathmatch kind of is just in general a pretty cool concept. And then of course you have the little mini game of the electrode happening, which is awesome too. It seems like a cool game mode. I think it was one of the more generally liked game modes when people were taking a look at the China version quite a bit when it was first being introduced. So
Right.
that in itself I think is really exciting. The other one I think a lot of people were talking about is like the battle royale one where there's like a sandstorm on the outside that like slowly shrinks, and it's like you get little mini upgrades around the map and you fight each other. It seems fun. But it's like basically a super fast battle royale style. And I think Brawl Stars is a very, very similar game mode. And their mobile title too. But anyway,
Cool.
that's super fun, and just more evidence that the China mode is slowly getting added to our game. Which, of note, I think you and I were talking about this a little bit before our episode went live. I think this news is actually a little more influential than maybe I had at first mind. Like, I think a lot of people were like, okay, 500 point mode came, and that was kind of a teaser of what, like, Unite 2 could be. You know, like, Unite 2, maybe the China mode will just go global, and we'll all be playing that identical game, similar to how Honor of Kings did. When Honor of Kings finally globally released after years and years in China, it's just the exact same game that's played in China. With 500 point mode in the game now, it's more of like, I guess it's still kind of an arcade experience. Obviously, they treated it a little more serious than that with like its own queue and everything. But anyway, and it's like its own event where you just get loot boxes, which
And
I found
it's
that really
gotten
fun,
a
by the way.
patch,
And they patched it too,
like
which is
in
really,
our
really
version,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, they patched the map effects. I'm still really wish they would change it from the China version so the wild Pokemon had more HP, but that's neither here nor there. But I think Electrode Volleyball getting added, so the first mini game being added now to our version, it kind of spells out to me that we are not going to be getting a Pokemon Unite 2. We're not going to be getting a full new re-release. Like, China mode is here. Like, this is a new title now. Download a new game. I think this is like, we are just slowly going to get every feature. Like, I think slowly, like, we are going to be given more and more features. And maybe not every feature. Maybe just the ones that do really well in China. Like, it's pretty good market tests. They go, okay, what game modes were people really liking? We'll ship those ones first. Volleyball got sent over first. Great. Auto chess wasn't in there at the very beginning. So I can...
The cope is real.
I can cope. I've been saying this for a while. We said it on broadcast in Texas. If our Worlds announcement this year is a few new Pokemon that are heading to the game, like new releases, and then they end it with like, it goes black, and then a hologram auto chess battlefield appears, and little units start getting put on the board, the crowd, Twitch chat, the Pope, everyone's gonna go nuts. As soon as that release happens, it's gonna be insane. It's a slam dunk. I really hope they announce auto chess going global at Worlds. That would be, it would be so massive for our game. I can't even describe how huge it would be.
Yeah, that is my fantasy right now, and I do think that is a really good point, because I feel like when I first was seeing all the leaks and stuff, Electrode Volleyball, I'm not gonna lie, was not quite at the top of my list for like, holy bananas, what's happening. But I do think, like, talking it through, like, just today, seeing like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a whole new game to download, but we're just going to start to get these like pieces of it. It's a good sign, and I actually does like fill me with some hope here, because it's been a little I don't know, it's like we got 500 point mode, which was like cool, but there's nothing. I do like the loot box thing, like you said, but like honestly, like I'm not really playing it, if I'm being honest. So it just kind of feels like, okay, now what? And this is kind of another sign of life, I would say, of
Totally.
our two games coming together a little bit more. So I'm coping for the TFT mode with you, and we'll be studying at the School of Zoinks when it comes out, for sure.
After my most recent stream performance, you might not want to. But thank you so much.
It's fine.
I'll walk in. Yeah, I really hope so. It's so exciting. I think a new title would bring new players, new hype, new excitement, but it would also be difficult, right? We'd lose a lot of people that like the old Pokemon Unite. You know, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I loved the loved maybe a big strong word, but I liked the Rayquaza mode more than the Zapdos situation, right? Like you'd lose some in that, and yeah, who knows how like battle items moves Pokemon work differently. Like, will the Pokemon you bought in one game go to the other? Like, who knows? So there's like a lot there's a lot of unknowns there. So this could be, and again, we're really biting into the copium apple with this episode, but this could be a best of both worlds scenario. We could be Hannah Montana. That's right. A Hannah Montana reference and a Pope reference all in one episode. We're really crushing it tonight.
That's good. That's a good. I'm sure like the two ends of our audience are Hannah Montana and Pope. So you really covered all of our bases.
Pretty sure Miley's bumping in the Vatican at any given moment. there's more of a Venn diagram than you think, I'm sure.
Okay. We'll look at the numbers.
Exactly. Okay. Final thing we wanted to talk about on today's... Well, actually, maybe not. We want to talk a little bit about our patch feels, actually. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick little break to take a look at our third co-host, our very beloved Doom Snacks. Wanted us to talk about this. Doom Snacks made a purchase, y'all. And it might be the biggest thing we've ever seen. For podcast listeners, all three of us here on the show are actually huge One Piece fans.
Guilty.
Yeah, Bridget, Doom Snacks, and I all read and love the manga, the anime, everything about it. Doom Snacks' favorite character in the series by far is Frankie. If you know One Piece, that should honestly come at no surprise.
He really gives Frankie energy.
And Doom Snacks spent a undisclosed amount of money on this gigantic statue. Yeah, you see this Frankie that we have up here first? This is the smallest part of the statue. Let's go to General Frankie, who's this giant battle bot underneath. There's the full statue in all its glory, looking honestly so incredible. And then in the final pose, you can see how much of the office space that it takes up in Doom Snacks' office. It is wild.
So he has it on like a mini fridge that it like clearly it does not fit on, obviously. No. And he was like, I really thought it was gonna fit on the mini fridge. And it looks like it's edited in. Like it looks comically disproportionate to everything else in the room. It's awesome. It's so funny.
Doom Snacks was messaging Bridget and I kind of during this entire process, and one of our messages was, OMG, the base is 60 pounds. So if just the base is 60 pounds, I think that starts to give everybody the impression of how gigantic this statue is. So
I love when I was like, dang, now I want a large scale anime figurine. And he's like, you should definitely look at the height and the weight. I'm like, did you not do that?
No.
When you did this?
He snap bought that statue on it so bad. It's crazy. And it's a great statue.
That was awesome. He also insisted we talk about it, so.
Right. Well, here we are talking about it.
That was for Doom Snacks.
No, much love to Doom Snacks. It's an amazing statue. Okay, last thing we want to talk about a little bit was the patch, because we talked a lot about the patch notes we talked a lot about a lot of stuff in last episode, but we talked a lot about the patch in our last episode. And we wanted to get kind of the vibes on it. So Bridget, how about you? How are you feeling about some of the changes? Moonlight, that 5% buff to healing. How we feeling?
I mean, I'm thriving. I'm not really sure if it's like gargantually changing the trajectory of Clef right now, but people are definitely banning it. I know people do not like dealing with it. I'm not gonna lie. I was having some shnasty follow me as one game. I'm like, these kids are not allowed to move.
That move is so good. Follow me is so good.
It's very fun. It's evil. But I will say, I don't know. I am hopeful that she will thrive a little more, but I'm not sure, especially with Alcremie coming out and being the new thing on the block. We'll see, but I'm enjoying Clef. I'll play my little duck when I can't play Clef. People ban Clef more than Psyduck. I'm like, this is not what we should be doing.
I'm in that line. I am immediately banning Clef every game these days. But I've been playing a lot of Garchomp, so I think it makes sense. Speaking of which, Garchomp's changes, I don't know how much the boosted auto attack, like healing, I felt the impact from too much. However, I will say I have definitely felt better when using a Dig Earthquake. I think
a lot.
The Ground Chomp set feels a lot better. I don't know who I was laning with earlier on today in solo queue, but they were playing a Sleep Wiggly, and I was playing no, actually, that game I wasn't playing Ground Chomp. I was playing Dragon Chomp. But either way, we had some insane combo. It's like Sing in a huge combo. Like, we were crushing it. So shout out to my Wiggly, who was playing in solo the other day. But it was yeah, Garchomp feeling very good. It just, in general, it already was, I think, a very solid choice of a Pokemon, so feeling that buff is great. I honestly haven't played too much Blaziken, but I have seen it popping up in bans again more so, but yeah, I think Blaziken changes are feeling pretty good.
I hate that guy. That's who I'm banning. I do not like that guy. It just does the alt, like, shield, I think is what got buffed. Oh my, it does not die. It is criminal. What that guy does. So I don't like him. I think monster. He's a demon right now.
Yeah, chicken a little too scary. Well, I'm gonna go play some more Blaziken tonight for sure.
Yeah.
But very cool. So yeah, I think those changes are interesting. So those were some of the patch Pokemon changes we saw. How about the held item changes? I'll start with the lens and bracer of it all. I think the nerf's pretty good on those items. You still scale to the same amount. I do feel like they are toned down to the point where they're still good items, but they are less just auto-includes on everything that does that type of damage. I think they were a little bit too much that way in previous moves. Now it does feel like, all right, well, it really will be like a task I will have to do to get to the 20 stacks or whatever now. So I have to be a lot smarter about how I am. If I'm going to equip this, I want to make sure that I'm getting early knockouts in this match. Otherwise, this is going to be kind of an irrelevant item for a while, and you don't want that. It feels a little bit like the discourse between weakness and attack weight back in the day on Lucario, when people were doing like, okay, so at 7 minutes, you need to have at least 2 stacks to outvalue weakness policy. At 6 minutes, you need to have 4 stacks. And the micro math was getting a little wild, and I feel like we're kind of entering that space again, which is a fun spot to be.
Honestly.
How about Rocky Helmet and Shell Bell? Have you tried or used or seen any of those items popping and stuff?
Honestly, I need to be trying Shell Bell. I've kind of forgot it got buffed, but that's something I feel like run a lot on stuff, and then when Incense came out, I just kind of have been usually going to that as my default, so I should be trying it again, but I feel like I see Rocky Helmet everywhere. I feel like I've seen it on, like, I mean, well, maybe this was happening before the buff, but it was like someone on my team has the helmet. Like, always.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. I mean, the defense stats it provides you are also pretty solid. The damage feels a lot better now. I tried it on Garchomp a little earlier, but I just miss Muscle Rapid every time I drop either one of those items, and so it could slot into this third, but then I just really like Focus Band, so it's like
Focus Band.
So yeah, maybe I should stop being a coward. You're right.
You're right. I'm right.
I will put Rocky Helmet back on, but Dextro saw Overlord playing Rocky Helmet Blaziken. Yeah, that doesn't seem bad. What, you like Rocky Helmet?
Not at all, really.
What would you... Rocky Helmet, Razor, Weakness? Feels pretty good, actually. That trio doesn't seem bad at all. Yeah, that... okay. I got some labbing to do tonight, I think.
Later.
Yeah. It'll be fun. Yeah, but cool. Anything else you want to talk about on our episode here, Bridget, before we close things up?
I don't think so. We just got a lot of a lot of leak news, so it was kind of fun to have stuff to look forward to again. I feel like
Agreed.
Alcremie was like the last thing in our little like drop that we got last time, so was definitely curious about what's to come. So, and it seems honestly, I'm hopeful. So,
we'll see.
Auto chess by the end of the year.
Oh, I would be so happy. Oh, yeah. A revival. It would be a revival. Okay.
It would be awesome.
I gotta stop geeking about auto chess. It's way too good. Yeah, no, Kella, the drought was rough. It was. They definitely have started to do a little bit more frequent releases. However, they have slowed those down now. But
and aren't they breaking their monthly release promise?
Yeah, I guess. Was it ever a promise? I don't even. But yeah, the May, there's no May release, so yeah, tricky.
They got
there.
us.
But at least the patches have been a bit more frequent. Item changes, new items, and now a ton of news to what's to come in the data mines, which is really cool. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please would you let us know what you are most excited for to come to the game? Is it Latios? Is it Electrode Volleyball? Is it potentially the auto chess mode? Maybe, please. Who knows? Please let us know in the YouTube comments. Otherwise, just thank you so much for listening or watching the podcast. If you want to share it with one of your friends, we will be eternally grateful. Bridget, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
The Psyduck Hollowware comes out in 2 days.
Oh,
I'm very excited.
Is it loot box one or just a purple tier?
Yes, it is.
It's loot box tier? Oh, I thought it was just like the Hershey one where it was like just really expensive. But okay.
Yeah, the $40. No, this is $100.
No, isn't the Hershey one like 60? Like the ice Urshifu one? I think it's like the most expensive non-loot box Hollowware.
Oh, I didn't know they made another.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to keep track of.
True.
I just really like the Psyduck.
No. All right, well.
I think I'm going to get it.
Lock in for the loot box time, folks. It looks great. I love the superhero line of costumes.
I do too. Even when they made that one for Cinderace, I actually thought it was so cute. And then it's just, a W one.
I don't own the Buzzwole one. I got to like 2 levels below that battle pass, and then for some reason I didn't pick up the game for a little while, and I missed it. And I am like still so devastated to this day that I don't have that Buzz Hollowware.
Surely it comes back in the.
It has, and I didn't get it then. I really have no excuse. So
no.
Yeah. It's what it is. Anniversary cope. That's maybe when I'll be able to purchase it. Who knows?
Yeah, it'll come back, buddy. Don't worry.
All right. Well, Doomsnacks isn't here, so make sure to follow at Big Bridget on Twitter. You can follow us at Unite Mics absolutely anywhere. But most notably, we'd love if you subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever it is these days. That would be a lot of fun. And if you want to listen to these episodes recorded live, they're usually every Tuesday night here on twitch.tv/Unite Mics. That sometimes changes, but if you want to just pay attention to our socials, maybe that's where we'll say the episode's going to be. Until later, we'll see you all later. Goodbye. Have a good week.
Bye.
I don't know why I said have a good week.